Alright, in this video, I was going to talk a little bit about perfectionism and then a little bit about brain waves with meditation too. So, I guess the first thing I'm going to start with is perfectionism because I I used to do this a lot too, where I would think everything had to be perfect before I would start. And so I would always have a excuse of why I couldn't start because it wasn't ready, it wasn't perfect. So I always expected everything to be perfect. And then it never was. So then I just would never start. But then I started to learn a little bit about, sometimes you just got to start and adjust as you go. So Dean Graziosi always says you take the leap and grow the wings on the way down. So I kind of like that saying. You just got to go. You just got to start because if you're waiting for it to be perfect, you'll never start. But if you just start and then see what happens, take that first step, which is kind of what I did with this channel. Just started talking and then kind of watch the videos and uh, look back and then kind of just see what I can improve on, get more comfortable with being me. When I first started, I was a little more uptight, a little more nervous when I was doing it. I mean, I still get a little bit nervous. Everybody does, but but the more I do it, the better I'm getting and the less nervous I get. And then I just kind of try to come up with the ideas and just let it flow. And whatever comes to me as I'm saying it, then I kind of just do that because I'm trying to show everybody that we're all human, we're all not perfect. So this kind of goes right along with it. But then I was watching a podcast the other day by a professor from Yale. I think her name is Dr. Laurie Santos. And they were talking about perfectionism. And I got the first part, everything has to be perfect before then. But then they went two more like levels on it that I had never really thought of. And then the second level was you expect perfection out of other people. And I was like, wow, I do all you used to. I may not do it as much, but I used to do that too, where I would expect other people to the level of perfection that I am. So I would hold other people to the standards that I held myself to, which were not good for me. And they sure as heck weren't good for other people for me to expect them to be perfect too. So I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, man, I never thought of it like that. But yeah, I gotta watch that because, let alone am I not perfect, other people aren't perfect either, and you can't hold other people to a unreachable expectation that doesn't even exist. And then the third level was thinking that other people expect you to be perfect. And I was like, I know, I always think that I have to be perfect and that other people are expecting me perfect and they're paying attention whether or not I'm perfect or not, whether or not I'm doing good. So that would stop me from doing it too because my perception of what other people were thinking of me, that they might not like what I have to say because it's not perfect, it's not ready, it's not great. But yet it it but I mean, maybe at that time I wasn't ready, but I guess I'm ready now. But still, at the same time, I feel like if I would have known all this stuff a few years ago, then I might have started earlier because I always had that thought in my brain is it had to be perfect. One day it's going to be perfect. And then that one day came when it wasn't, when I found out it didn't have to be perfect. And that's kind of when it all started. So that was kind of like the one thing in my brain that I just couldn't get around. So that's kind of what I want to say is just, wherever you're at, it doesn't matter. Just start. Just do something. I mean, even if it's not videos, even if it's not perfect or it's not going to be perfect, but like just anything, any little thing, find a book to read. Any book you read is somebody else's life work that they put time and energy into, and they know what they're talking about. And again, yeah, I know some of my friends won't read self help books, but that's all there is self help. I mean, if you can learn any strategy that helps, like I remember too, is like Wayne Dyer used to always say, "Change your thoughts, change your life." So I'd like, all right, well, I'm going to change my thoughts, and then I would try to change my thoughts, and I'd be like, eh, whatever, and this doesn't work. What does he know? What is he talking about? It's impossible. And then I would give up. But then I would try and fail, try and fail. And little by little, I did learn how to change some of the way I responded to stuff, like in a spiritual manner and all that. But then, like, one day, I ended up going to a retreat at the Chopra Center, and Mike Dooley was the speaker, and he said one, and it was like he said one of the hardest things is that we expect our thoughts to change overnight when when these patterns and these ideas and we've been conditioned for years in a certain way that's created the way that we think, and we expect to change our thoughts for one day and expect them to stay that way. And I was like, wow. It was like, and I was like, I never thought about it like that. I gave up way too fast. So it's always a process of development. You're going to have two steps forward, one step back, good days, bad days. It's kind of like rehab. When my leg was messed up, it would start to feel better. I'd get excited, and then it would feel worse, and I'd be like, "Oh no, it's never going to get better." But then it would get better. So it was kind of that ebb and flow of two steps forward, and then I started realizing, "Yep, here's the step backwards." And same thing with my neck right now and my arm. It's kind of doing the same thing. It's just taking a little longer than I thought, but it's always that two steps forward, one step back. But as long as you're making progress in some way, don't be too hard on yourself. And that's the thing too, is it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy at times, and we just got to keep going with the flow and see what happens. And eventually, it'll things will get better, but it's not going to happen overnight. So you have to realize that, and you don't have to be perfect to start. So, and then like the other thing was brain waves, like, and I think that helps too. That's why I meditate and do all that stuff to help put me in a different state of mind, because like beta waves are the real fast ones, and that's what we have in waking state right now, which is it's your what you spend most of the day in. It's alertness, concentration, thinking, which we need to do. We definitely need beta. But I also think like meditation, relaxation, and creativity comes from alpha. And I mean, I think there are some ways other than just meditation to reach alpha, but we don't do it as much as we do as we if we meditate. Like meditation brings on the alpha state. And like Deepak Chopra always talked about the states of consciousness, like the fourth level. There's like sleep, dreaming, a waking state, which is beta, and then the next level, the fourth state of consciousness, that's where you start to go when you start to meditate. So I thought that was always kind of cool, is that it creates a different state. So you start to it changes your brainwave, so you start to see things in a different light. And sometimes ideas, I feel like it's good for ideas because it puts you in a different state. They would say it was like you meditate and it changes you to that state, and then you bring that perfection, that just talking about perfection, it's not perfect, but you bring that peace back from that alpha state, and makes you more peaceful, relaxation and creativity. And and that but then with you combine it with the two, because the beta gets the assertiveness, the alertness, the thinking. So you kind of like put the two together, and then I feel like you can create your uh, best creative state. It will put you in your best creative state. There we go. Again, not perfect. So again, that's why I feel like we need to do the meditations. We need to just start somewhere. We need to relax. We need to just focus and see what happens, and keep adjusting and keep learning, because the best thing we can do is just keep trying to make progress every day and not get too down when we do fall. I still have a tendency to do it myself too, so get it, we're human. But it's like always wait for that next day, that next moment, that next opportunity, because again, as long as you keep building in the right direction, eventually you're going to reach where you want to go. But you're not going to reach it waiting for it to be perfect in the beginning, because it's not going to be. We can strive to be better, we can strive to be, maybe have perfect moments, but they're always going to change, and then even that idea of perfection is going to change over time. Yeah, I mean, even in the beginning, I didn't have a expectation for how all this was going to go, but I like the direction it's going, and I know it's going to take time, and it's going to take work, and it's going to take effort, and it's going to take failure. But the thing is to never give up, keep adjusting, and keep moving forward, and get started because it's never going to be perfect.